Thank you all for joining. This is giving us such a new lease of life to come together with all of you and read the Srimad Bhagvatam, which is, when you share this Krishna Katha, we create a very strong bond. It's a connection through sound. It's a connection through transcendental sound, and that creates a very strong sense of connection. Much more, it is described that we have two kinds of association. One is through vapu, and which is physical association, and the other is through vani, which is through sound. And because of this pandemic, we are together. In one sense, we are not physically together, but we are together through the medium of sound, and that is considered to be a much higher, much deeper form of association. So thank you for allowing us this opportunity. So we will read from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So today what we're going to do, so the first three classes, or perhaps a little bit more, what we did was, just give me a minute, I'm just going to, we read from we spent one day on each verse, but now there is a group of verses starting from text 4 through 8, where there's a particular thread. So we're going to pick up that thread and read through those 4 verses and then discuss it. So let me share the screen. Okay, let's see. So here it is. So we finished, yesterday we talked about how this Bhagavatam is a rasa shastra. Rasa means taste. It's transcendental relish. So this Bhagavatam is actually meant as a subject matter that can satisfy our deepest desire for taste. And that is what actually keeps us in this material world, is this taste. Whether it is the taste for love, it's the taste for money, it's the taste for power, position, whatever it is that we are desiring to taste, it's this pursuit of taste that drags us from one body to another body, trying to enjoy a variety of tastes. But the reality, or the unfortunate reality, is that none of these tastes ultimately can fulfill us. And we find ourselves feeling more and more thirsty, more and more disappointed, more and more heartbroken. So this subject matter, the Srimad Bhagavatam, is presented so that by drinking this nectarian juice, one can be completely satisfied, totally satisfied. So now text 4. Naimishe nimisha chetre rishaya shaunakadaya satram swargaya lokaya sahasra samamashata. So the translation is, once in a holy place in the forest of Naimisharanya, great sages headed by the sage Shaunaka assembled to perform a great 1,000-year sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Lord and his devotees. Then text 5. Ta ekada tu munaya pratarhuta hutagnaya satkritam sutam ashinam praprachur idam adarat. One day, after finishing their morning duties by performing a sacrificial fire and offering a seat of esteem to Srila Sutta Goswami, the great sages made inquiries with great respect about the following matters. Text 6. Rishaya Vacha, it's Rishaya Uchu, Tvaya Khalu Puranani, Seti Hasani Chanagha, Akhyatani Apiya Adhitani, Dharma Shastrani Yanyuta. So the sages said, respected Sutta Goswami, you're completely free from all vice. You are well versed in all the scriptures famous for religious life and in the Puranas and the histories as well, for you have gone through them under proper guidance and have also explained them. Text 7. Yani Veda Vidam Shreshto Bhagavan Badarayana Anyacha Munaya Sutta Paravara Vido Vidu. Being the eldest learned Vedantist, O Sutta Goswami, you are acquainted with the knowledge of Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of Godhead. And you also know other sages who are fully versed in all kinds of physical and metaphysical knowledge. Text 8. Vetatvam saumya tat sarvam tatvatastad anugrahat Bruyu snigdasya shishyasya guruvo guhyam api uta. And because you are submissive, your spiritual masters have endowed you with all the favors bestowed upon a gentle disciple. Therefore, you can tell us all that you have scientifically learned from them. I love this word, snigdasya, of the one who is submissive. Snigda, snigda. It's a very nice word. So let's go back and let's discuss these 4 verses. So the first thing is that there is a reference to a particular place, Nemisharanya. So this place is actually considered to be a very special place. So just like we see even in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, the place is actually emphasized, Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. So there is an emphasis on that place. Why? Because a place has a particular impact on us. And so this particular place, Nemisharanya, is very special because Lord Brahma, he conceived of a wheel, and he that could encircle the entire universe. And then the hub of that great wheel, he placed it in the center, which is this place Naimisharanya. So you can actually visit this place, and it's considered to be a very special place where spiritual activities can be performed. The other word that is also used here in reference, it's also said that it's a place of Vishnu Chetra, a place of Vishnu. So the particular word that is used for Vishnu is Animisha, which means that someone whose eyes are never closed. So that means he never blinks his eye. So Prabhupada in this lecture, he talks about how the gopis, they actually condemn Lord Brahma because he's the secondary creator, and they want to continuously, they want to be able to see Krishna and his beautiful face. And even if for the blinking of an eyelid, when their vision is interrupted, they become very disturbed. And so they get very upset with Brahma. And he said, what kind of a foolish creator are you that you've created these eyelids which are useless because they blink? And because of that blinking of those eyelids, we are not able to see Krishna all the time. So, anyways, this is just a little side point that Prabhupada makes. But so that's why this place is also called Animisha Kshetra. And um, so this is a very ancient text, something that has, even though it was spoken 5,000 years ago, but actually it is, this reference of Bhagavatam is actually given even in the ancient Puranas. So we can understand that this is actually very, very ancient knowledge that we are now receiving, which was Vyasadeva knew this, and he is the author of all these books, and he gave it to his son, Sukadev Goswami. So, what is the reason? Why are they speaking? Why have the sages assembled? What is the purpose of this assembly? So, it is amazing that these sages have actually assembled because they want to figure out how they can do the greatest good for all people, for all humanity, for all living entities in this universe. So, this shows the nature of a transcendentalist. A transcendentalist is someone who is actually interested in doing welfare for all. So, Prabhupada here says that this is a very beautiful section that I really liked from one of Prabhupada's lecture, where he says, what is that real welfare? So, yesterday we were having a conversation with Nimai, and he's starting his new job. So, he was talking about altruistic activities, and he was talking about how there is this group, they talk about effective altruism, where they try to figure out what is, like, dollar by dollar, what is the most effective way to be altruistic in this world and to make a real impact. So the sages are also thinking like that, and they're also trying to inquire what is the way to do the most amount of welfare for the work. And so Prabhupada here says real welfare is to awaken people from their dream. So this is Prabhupada's words, quote unquote. He says, Krishna is eternal. We are eternal. And our dealings with Krishna is also eternal. But sometimes it becomes interrupted by this Maya, which is called Swapna. Swapna means dream, but this is not an ordinary kind of dream. This is me speaking. This is not Prabhupada. I'm just kind of commenting on Prabhupada's words. So this Swapna means dream life. As dream has no fact, it is all hallucination. So, you can have a happy dream and you can also have a hallucination. So this kind of dream that we are experiencing, which has been interrupted, which has been created by Maya, it's actually called a hallucination. Again, Prabhupada's words. Similarly, our detachment from Krishna is also a hallucination. Actually, there is no detachment. And when we are covered by this hallucination, just like in dream, we cry, oh, here is a tiger, here is a tiger. Tiger, where is tiger? Similarly, this forgetfulness of Krishna is like that. So Prabhupada is saying that actually there is no detachment from Krishna. We are continuously connected, but it is because of this hallucination. So that's why we are in this anxiety, thinking, where is this tiger? Where is this tiger? But actually there is no tiger. So same way, there is no detachment or separation from Krishna. So the great sages, they're always very anxious to do, and so that's why they have all assembled together. So what is that? So they're inquiring, they're trying to find out, okay, what is the way? So Prabhupada gives many examples. He gives the example, another example of a leaf falling from the tree, and the leaf has fallen away. Once it falls away, it's going to only dry away. Then somebody could say, well, I'm going to water this leaf and make it green again. Well, we know that's not possible. A leaf that is disconnected from the tree can never become green again. It can only become dry. So in the same way, Prabhupada talks about how any civilization or any society or any living entity that is disconnected from the living, from Krishna, can only become dry. And so any altruistic efforts to make that leaf green is just it's just all effort without any result or any fruit. So Prabhupada goes on to talk about how if people are unfortunate, this is the way we can actually make them fortunate, by coming together and glorifying Krishna. And in that way, everybody can become, we can change the unfortunate into fortunate. So I'm just going to skip this. So now I think the most important thing, we have 10 more minutes, so I don't want to, I want to first cover this, and then if there are any extra points, I'll get back into that. So in this section, we also see that they gather together in the early morning hours after finishing their morning duties. So this is another very important thing, that for proper benefit, for being able to receive the most amount of benefit in our spiritual practices, the early morning hours are considered to be the most auspicious and the most potent. They're actually a muhurat. I was actually thinking about that just the other day, that just like, when you want to get married or when you want to do something really auspicious, then in India, and many of you are maybe students of astrology, you find the right time, the muhurat. It's an auspicious time. So I was thinking that in the same way, we are also trying to unite with Krishna. We're trying to actually marry the mind with the mantra. So there is a special auspicious time for that. And that auspicious time are the early morning hours. And that's why it's called Brahma Muhurat. And then this is again a very, very, very important point, and something that I've been thinking about so much, is the qualification of the speaker and the qualification of the hearer. So the qualification of a speaker is actually a very, very important thing. Because that's where this transmission is not just a transmission of information, it's a transmission of our bhakti, of our faith. So we have to be very careful, both as a speaker and as a hearer. So in this case, they're actually they're putting down all the qualifications of Sutta Goswami, and they're saying that what is your qualification? That you are a representative of Vyasa. And you are presenting those conclusions of Vyasa mixed with your own realization. So it's not just that you've heard from Vyasadev, but you've actually taken that information, you've heard from Vyasadev, you have thought about it, you've assimilated it, you have practiced it, and now you're sharing it. So this assimilation process is also very, very important in being able to teach or to be able to share. And then the other qualification that is given is that he is free from all vice. So this is again a very important qualification, that if anybody sits on a Vyasasan, they have to be at least following, because otherwise what happens is that if one is not able to walk one's talk, then that creates a lot of disturbance in society. And it is also, one is not representing, because it is a great responsibility to represent Vyasadev. It's a great responsibility to represent the disciplic succession. So when one is representing, then one must be honest. Of course, it's not necessary that one may be completely perfect, but at the same time, one must not have the basic vices. So that's why in our tradition, we have 4 regulative principles that we follow. So we have to be spotless in character. And we have to, the third quality that is being, or third credential, is that he or she has to be well versed in all the scriptures. So he must know, the scriptures, and he must also know how to apply those scriptures. He must have heard from the right source and assimilated by reflection, practice, and realization. So only one has, and then the most important quality. So one may have all of these qualities, that I may have studied all the scriptures, I may know all the shlokas, I may know, I may have all of these qualities, but then there are these 2 or 3 other qualities that are also very important, which is that snigdasya. Snigdasya means submissive, gentle. So this quality of being a gentle disciple. So in order to be a speaker or a teacher, one has to be a good student. And a good student in the academic world means that I get the best grades, that I'm a topper in the class. That is the definition of a good student. But in the process of bhakti, a good student is one who is submissive, who is willing to follow, who is not arrogant, who is gentle by nature. So, gentle by nature means, what is the meaning of gentle in bhakti? Gentle means without any pride. Gentle means that one is humble, that one is meek, one is willing to be corrected. That is the meaning of being gentle. Gentle means that even when things are spoken to me, which can be sometimes may not be according to my own liking, I'm still willing to follow and accept. So by doing these qualities, and Prabhupada talks about that in his lecture, he says, Yasya prasada bhagavat prasado. It means that only by satisfying the spiritual master can actually this knowledge, becomes revealed within the heart, as something that is, one implicitly begins to understand this knowledge simply by trying to please the spiritual master. So I think Lokadaksha is also there if he wants to share something or add something. Are you there? I can see you. Anyways. So let me see if I have missed something. Let me go back to those verses. Just give me a minute. And we see that in the example of Ishwar Puri and Ramachandra Puri, that they were both trying to serve their spiritual master, Madhavendra Puri, and then what happened was one of them was trying to correct, as he was leaving his body, he was trying to correct his spiritual master and tell him that, you should be thinking of Brahman right now. And then he gets very heavily chastised and he says, you go away, why are you trying to disturb my meditation? And Ishwar Puri, on the other hand, he was just menially, he was trying to serve his spiritual master. So we see that, this is actually the confidential mystery of bhakti, that it is not just dependent on just grabbing the information. We cannot just enter into a text or enter into this world and just grab it and it becomes yours. What actually happens as a descending process, when we try to serve with the right attitude, then this knowledge is revealed. I think Lokadaksha just joined. Go ahead.
Now you finish, and then I'll just say a few words.
I'm done. I mean, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I was just thinking that in the first 3 verses of the Bhagavatam, we talked about who is the absolute truth, and how Bhagavatam is the means to, just by hearing Bhagavatam. And the 3rd verse was the sweetness of Bhagavatam. So immediately after that, we can see that we have an assembly of sages who are eager to hear Bhagavatam. So Vyasadeva is immediately helping us jump into he's giving us a visual of what should be our attitude, what should be our mindset for hearing Bhagavatam. And the attitude that I find very interesting is that these sages, they are sitting down to hear Bhagavatam, not for their own benefit, but they are thinking about the benefit of the whole world. And when we hear Bhagavatam from that mindset that I'm going to hear and then I'm going to share this Bhagavatam so that the whole world can be benefited, just by sitting together and hearing, that process is so powerful that impact is felt throughout the universe. And our consciousness actually gets multiplied spiritually to no limits. And this is what we see in this example. Sutta Goswami is speaking, and Shonaka and the other sages, they are very eager to hear from Sutta Goswami. So their eagerness to hear, and Sutta Goswami's humility as a disciple, and his eagerness to share Krishna Katha, when these 2 potent factors are there, the eagerness and the qualification of the hearer and the eagerness and qualification of the speaker, then it's a very potent combination that really impacts the whole universe. And we can see this conversation is still heard now. So when we are coming together and sitting together, hearing the conversation of these great souls, just by this hearing process, we are making a great impact in our own lives and in the lives of everybody else. It sets an example. These sages are setting an example. They are not in a hurry. They are sitting down for 1,000 years. They say, we have all the time to hear Bhagavatam, and whatever it takes. And they're not running away. I have to do this, I have to do that. So like that, they're organizing their life in a similar way. We can organize our lives so there is sufficient time to hear Bhagavatam and share Bhagavatam. And and just by following their example, we develop the right attitude, because as Vidarbha was saying, there is a critical element of assimilating this Bhagavatam. Giving up this challenging spirit. Oh, this is my past experience. How can this be possible? Because so many fantastic things will be mentioned in the Bhagavatam, because this is a description of the spiritual world and so many higher realms in this material world, seen by these great seers of truth who have no malice, no envy, and they're only speaking the truth for the benefit of others. So they have no personal motivation to twist the facts. So when we have that gentle, submissive attitude that, yeah, I don't understand so many things in the Bhagavatam, but because these great sages, they have spoken this knowledge for my benefit, my ultimate benefit, then let me at least accept it and pray that this knowledge can be revealed in my heart, because this is a process of descending knowledge and it requires revelation in our heart. The first level is understanding, and then by this our attitude, this knowledge will be revealed. Just like you plant a seed in the ground, and if the soil is not fertile or it has a lot of stones and dirt, then the seed is not going to fructify. So our attitude is basically preparing that fertile soil, that rich soil, that it will receive the seed, and then the seed will grow.
Thank you. I was just thinking when you were speaking, I really liked what you said. I was just imagining, like, all of us, even though we are separated by thousands of years, but it almost felt like we are also sitting with Sutta Goswami under this huge banyan tree, right? We're also assembled together, trying to hear.
Yeah, and these sages are there with us when we are hearing. These sages, they are not the sages of the past, they are the sages of the present also, because they are eternal. And they are cheering us that, okay, you are perfecting your life, and then you have our full support.
Hmm. They could not have probably imagined, right? Or they could probably have imagined that 5,000 years later, we would be sitting on a Zoom session and hearing what they were there and trying to hear their conversation and study their conversation.
Yeah, I mean, if you say, like, somebody will say, like, here it is said Nemishe Animishe Kshetre, so this will be like a Zoom Kshetre.
Yeah, that's true. So I guess it's 10:32, so we'll pause here and see if you guys have any reflections. A reflection is anything that you heard, even a word that you want to share back.
I have a reflection.
Yes, go ahead, Vinny.
Um, that like they were sitting for 1,000 years.
Mm.
It kind of it showed me that it takes patience
Mm.
and it's a long process.
Mm.
And sometimes I have this feeling of like, oh my God, I gotta um, be perfect in this path and start doing everything all at once. And it's actually, it takes time.
Yeah.
And if we see like each life we have, it's an opportunity to increase this knowledge. So yes, it's like it's a long path, but a
Yeah.
beautiful path. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, Vinny. I really like it because I've been thinking on exactly the same lines. That when we really value something, then we're willing to wait for it, because it's worth it. It's worth the journey. It's worth the wait. And patience is also an expression of our love. So when we are patient like that, I really like it. And it's true. It is not an instant overnight samadhi, even though Prabhupada does say that one can actually become self-realized within a second. He also says Tatchanat. But at the same time, because of our past conditioning, we have to go through the process and be patient.
Yeah, and I really liked your point, Vinny, that although it may seem like it takes a long time. First of all, 1,000 years, this is Dwapar Yuga, so this lifespan, average lifespan was 1,000 years in those days. So they basically means that they're dedicating their life to hearing Bhagavatam and sharing Bhagavatam. So it doesn't mean that we have to stop doing everything else that we're doing in our lives. But when we make that commitment, the commitment can be made in an instant. And so we make that commitment that, yeah, I'm going to dedicate my life for this higher purpose. Then it's equivalent to sitting in the forest for 1,000 years. And what they achieved in 1,000 years, we can actually achieve in 1 year or even 10 years of our lifetime. It doesn't require that much. Just patient and just sincere hearing of this knowledge and practicing it to the best of our ability. And then we can get the same benefit in a short amount of time.
Anybody else?
I have a reflection.
Yeah.
We've always heard that love is a verb, right? So here in this case, we saw that first it was established what is absolute truth, and then it said that everything else other than realizing the absolute truth is a cheating business, right? And then we mentioned that, and why is that cheating business? Because we're always concentrating on the body rather than the soul aspect. And then because of that, we are always experiencing envy within our own hearts. So, and then they spoke about the benefit of reading Bhagavatam, and then because of the Bhagavatam, like as you were mentioning, that two things happens, right? Shubda and Klesha Agni. Shubda, auspiciousness, and all material desires go away. So I was thinking that as soon as this all was established, it was not just left there. The sages came into the picture, and then now they're ready to help us apply all of that into our lives. So it is actually true love, right? Where it is, they took some action. It is like we can sit and talk, but I think they've all come together and they've taken some action from their side so that we all can benefit in future. So, and from Shruti it has become Smriti, right? And earlier it was just in the hearing form, but they knew people of this age would be so degraded that it has to be. So I was just thinking that that compassion, that the word you use, submissiveness. So all of that, it's actually the Sanskrit words that we're using here. It's very very satisfying. The meaning is becoming more relevant in our heart. English can't do justice in that sense.
Yes, that's true. That's true. It's nice. Thank you, Radhika. It's beautiful. Prem Dham, Sham Bhakti, anybody else? Amrita, just Rebecca.
Yeah, I had actually a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So I was just thinking that they mentioned that the separation, the feeling of separation isn't real because you were always connected to Krishna. So I was wondering that how is it that the sages experience the intense feelings of separation in spite of that?
Okay, I'll let Lokadaksha answer. That's a very deep question. I think did he just go? Or he's there?
Go ahead. So the separation, this is the duality. I mean, this is the transcendental nature of spiritual life. That separation and union. The union happens through separation. So the feelings of separation that a devotee experiences for Krishna, and the deep longing, right, that the devotee experiences, through that deep longing, there is a constant union. So when Krishna went away to Mathura, leaving Vrindavan, although he was physically not present in Vrindavan, but the residents of Vrindavan, they were constantly even more united with Krishna than he was personally present there. So this is an inconceivable nature of spiritual life, is this union in separation.
Lord Chaitanya actually came to offer us. This is considered to be the highest expression of love and bhakti. It's called, in Sanskrit, the word that is used is Vipralambha. Vipralambha means union through separation. Now, it's a very deep and esoteric topic, but it's described in many pastimes that, many times, like Radharani, Krishna is like sitting right there, but Radharani is experiencing the deepest form of separation from him. So how that is something that we can only experience once we have attained that level of love.
Even in our mundane life, when the child goes away to college, the mother is constantly thinking about the child, and she therefore achieves that union with the child. A business person or anybody who has money and they put the money in the stock market or wherever, then although the money is not physically present with them, but they're constantly thinking of that money. And any changes to that investment is they are constantly united with that money through that separation. So these are some of the examples you can think how that union happens.
Yeah, it's very crude because in the material world you don't experience the union, but I guess in the spiritual realm, right, the thinking is the union.
Thinking is the union, yeah.
Thank you. So from what I understand is I think the separation leads to constant remembrance.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And then Krishna can personally manifest through that constant remembrance because he is not a material object.
Shamakti, Premdam, anything from you guys, Tarini?
I just this word snigdha also caught my attention, and today I just read an article wherein it was said that how one can judge that you are becoming humble or submissive. So it was saying that anytime you get some success, if you think that this is not because of me, and you judge other people contribution also, then it means you are becoming humbler. So I mean, all these sages, they chose Sutta Goswami as their leader because he was submissive, but the contribution was, as Loka Prabhu was mentioning, that both the speaker and the hearer, they were of both had the qualification. So it was not just Sutta Goswami, but all the sages also, they asked such relevant questions. So anytime in an assembly when both the parties are of they are just sitting to do the welfare of everybody in the world, it really such kind of fruit comes out from that kind of sacrifice. So
Beautiful.
I was
Beautiful.
just
Very
thinking.
nice. Really, yeah, so wonderful. Yeah. And there's no difference, right? The speaker and the hearer, they're both engaged in, both those activities are actually on the absolute platform. So that's very nice. Thank you. Premdam Prabhu, did you?
I think it's time, so we should end it on time.
Okay. Okay. So we'll see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
everyone.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We'll be thinking of you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Pradipta.